Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Deep Drop. I'm Luke McCredden, and with me, Adam Ring. Ads, a bit of a special one tonight, not your regular format Deep Drop episode.
Yeah, we decided to throw something in because there's been, I would say, quite a large event that's happened recently in our space, Luke. A dear friend of ours. And I'll throw over to you. You've worked with this team on a few different projects over the years, but there was something big that happened. So over to you, my friend. Who do we have on the pod tonight?
Well, Adam, anyone listening that has an interest in fishing will be familiar in some way, shape or form with the name Hook, Line and Sinker. It has been a brand we've seen on TV and across social channels for over 25 years. It's incredible to think about, actually. TV shows just simply don't last that long anymore. Andrew Hart and Nick Duigan kicked this off 2000-ish. And what it became was one of the most relatable, enjoyable, fun TV programs I think I've ever seen. And it just became a bit of a household name, a bit of, pranksters, jokesters, but, good fishermen in their own right. So the fishing content was good. The enjoyment was at an all-time high. And Adam, Hook, Line and Sinker has just wrapped up after 25 years on air, has finished up. The season's just wrapped up as we're recording this, early 2025. And I just thought, Jesus, we should get Nick and Hardy on as a bit of a celebration episode just to talk through it, I suppose, and really what has become just such an important brand and TV show and program and people in Nick and Andrew for fishers all over the country who have enjoyed a bit of a laugh over the years. So very fortunate, as you mentioned, to have spent lots of time with these guys, seen them firsthand making content, which is something incredible that I've never sort of witnessed before, the talent and ability of these guys, and been on some pretty fun fishing trips as you got to witness recently. Yep. When the Deep Drop joined Hook, Line and Sinker for a bit of a squid bash with Lee Rayner too, actually. Lots of fun, lots of great memories of Hook, Line and Sinker that won't end because there's going to be content around for a long, long time. I'm thrilled to be able to say that we're spending tonight with Nick and Andrew on the Deep Drop. How about that? Nick Duigan, Andrew Hart, welcome to the Deep Drop. How are you both?
Thank you. Yes, very, very well. Great nostalgic tunes for the play-in. Thank you.
We should start by some sort of disclaimer, Dykes. We didn't really ever pay for that song.
Yeah, no, we did. We did.
We paid.
We paid David Whitney, my mate, who I went to school with, $500 for a CD worth of tunes. Yes. That one amongst them. He was from the very highly regarded Tasmanian pub rock band Dinner Time. Yeah, and he put his mind to a theme tune, and little did he know, for his $500, we got 25 years out of it.
5 years. I actually remember he used to play around the streets of Launceston. And, when we were younger and would go out, he'd actually play the theme song for us.
Really?
And the pub would go rocking, yeah. So, we did. Yeah, you're right. We did pay, and we got, rights forever. And it's probably not great for Dave, but it's been good for us.
We were good business people, Hardy, weren't we? Good, solid business people.
Absolutely.
We have to kick off with just saying to you both, massive congratulations, Hook, Line and Sinker. What an amazing journey from a viewer, from a consumer point of view, but also a source of inspiration for a lot of people to get out and have a bit of fun. And so absolute tip of the cap to you both. And I know we've all got a wine or a beer in hand, so cheers to you both, boys. And to Hook, Line and Sinker. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been
thank you very much, and I will. Given I bailed early, I will let the captain of the ship respond to that.
No, you should go first, I reckon. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I enjoyed this final couple of weeks, and you actually pushed me to do a Facebook post saying the final show, is coming and going. And I was overwhelmed by the positive comments that we received from viewers and also from people who have been in the show, and even the calls that I received in the past week or two has been overwhelming. And obviously, the show has resonated with a lot of people right the way around Australia. So it's a good feeling to know that we did something that a lot of people enjoyed.
And I coming at it from just the perspective of an evil politician, and we pushed Hardy into doing a shared post. And my post for normally my social media numbers, because there's a team of people that looks after these things and looks at them. My post on the weekend doubled the engagement of the New South Wales Premier, and so I can tell you that was a reasonable uptick for my socials on a week by week basis. So, no, like you say, Hardy, it does. I was equally, really humbled by the response to that. And given I've been out of it for a few years now, it's a bit more nostalgic for me, and I can forget about the sort of hard times and the more difficult bits of it and just remember it really fondly. So it was, a really nice week. To think about, how long we've been going, and people.
We were on the media and everything. So the news interviewed us, the ABC interviewed us. It was very humbling, as you say. It was good.
I know that you guys are fairly low key, and you won't accept the fact probably that the show was very important for a lot of people, and it wasn't a one hit wonder. You don't do something that lasts for 25 years by accident or as a fluke. You've absolutely nailed what you've done. I'm curious to know, Hardy, it's still pretty fresh because the last episode only aired recently. Do you step back at some point, and have you? I mean, you may have throughout the journey, but now that it's kind of come to an end, and sort of have a look and go, shit, you know what? That's a bloody good effort.
Probably just from this week alone, I've sort of started to think about it, because before we got the last show to air, I was pretty much ready to get the bloody last show to air. And I have been ready for that probably for the last couple of years, to be fair. It's not the show that it was. It's become more and more difficult to make. Not from a sort of talent or fishing point of view, but just purely from a sponsorship and financial point of view. The landscape has changed somewhat massively. It's always been going to change, but it's sort of now it has quite quickly. And look, I was just happy to get it to air. I haven't really sat back and thought too much about it. But touching on the point that we've just made about the past week or two, it obviously was a good thing that we did, and I think I will eventually sit back and remember the good times. Not that it's bad. I mean, it's not like the last couple of years have been bad. They've just been, as you said at the start, a bit of a chore, and it's time to finish it.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get into plenty of stories, but I need to get your comment, Hardy, on just a couple of things that happened in the final episode. And for those that haven't watched it, you can head on over to the 7 Plus app and you can actually watch the final ever Hook, Line and Sinker episode. But there's a couple of things I need to get your comment on, because you push the boundaries right to the end.
Right.
It's in
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've actually seen it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll know these. I'm sure you will. It's the first time ever watching a fishing program that I saw someone have a spew mid-fight.
That was fantastic.
That was hilarious. Old mate was struggling hard, and all you could do was piss yourself laughing in the background. So I've never seen that. So tip of the cap.
No.
But there's one major thing which I think probably 99% of the people would have missed. Now, for those playing along at home, if you have a look at 3 minutes and 2 seconds into the final episode on the 7 Plus app, and Dogs, you can comment on this too, because I'm pretty sure you were part of this. You were actually reminiscing about catching marlin at Bermagui, where the last episode takes place, and you were introducing and making comment of an old mate called Rooster. Now, I just want to read out a quote that I picked up within that little passage that I think most people would have missed. Now, I quote, "We've got him on, Rooster. Fuck yes." How did you sneak in a fuck yes on national TV?
I don't know. Are you sure?
Well, no, I'm not sure, but it sounds very much like it to me.
I mean,
so I'm going to roll with it.
It would, yeah. I mean, it would be exactly what we would say. But I mean, these shows get QC checked, quality control checked by
I've got a keen ear, and it
Channel
sounds very much like a fuck yes to me.
I hope it got through to the keeper, and I hope it was a fuck yes. Because when you hook a marlin, it's probably the first thing that comes to mind. Fuck yeah!
Yeah, correct. That's why this is real as it gets.
Yeah, 100%.
So, tip of the cap. I thought that was a brilliant way to finish.
I'm not sure how the closed captioning went for that.
Yeah. I feel like I need to go back and check 3 minutes and 2 seconds ads, was it?
Yep, on the 7 Plus app, 3 minutes and 2 seconds.
Can you do some editing and play that clip? Because I'd like to bloody listen to it.
Let's drop it in.
I'll take your word for it.
Let's drop it in. You spoke a bit about, and I'm really keen to hear a bit about some early stuff and some of the journey, I suppose. But I just wanted to touch on the fact that you mentioned that the last couple of years have been potentially a bit hardy. I don't think there's anyone in their right mind who would disagree that television isn't, as difficult as it's ever been. So again, to get as far as you guys got, I think was incredible with the quality that you had. Now, quality is an interesting point, Nick, because throwing back to and I'm going to say episode 1. I just want a bit of a snapshot of some of the level of content from way back when.
Well, what's a brim? Brim or a flathead? Not really sure.
Tell us about the way you bring it in, mate. You're keeping that rod head up, the rod tip up nice and high.
The rod head up?
Yes. The great thing about, and if that is episode 1, which it probably was, we had exhausted, well, certainly me, had exhausted everything I knew about fishing in the first 4 minutes. And from then on, for the next 298 episodes, it was just, not about fishing. And that turned out to be, as it turned out, we thought it was a weakness early, but that turned out to be one of the great strengths of the program, that we weren't too concerned about what you did with the rod head. You could choose your own adventure rod head wise, and everything would all be all right. And you'd catch a fish or you wouldn't, but you'd still have a good time. So, it dawned on us. We used to watch the Rex Hunt shows when they come into the TV station. Both Hardy and I worked at the TV station, back in the day when they came in a little big plastic box and a reel-to-reel, and we'd put these shows up and watch them before time and, think, oh, God, Rex has just talked there for 3 minutes. He said nothing and he's talked for 3 minutes. What possible chance have we got, when we're contemplating doing our own fishing show in Tasmania? How are we going to go gobbing off for 3 minutes or, talking about fishing for 3 minutes? And as it turns out, once you drop the pretense that you actually know something, it's not too difficult at all.
You did get serious. You started by trying to be a bit serious, didn't you, as you mentioned? And Hardy, I want you to talk us through this a little bit.
The important thing to remember with those fish is to keep it simple. Just a simple running sinker rig, fresh bait. That's a key to it. And all you need to do is get out on the water, put in some hours, and you can catch a deal at River Brim.
There's nothing wrong with what you're saying. I want to know what's happened to your nuts at that stage, because you also sound like you're about 16 years old.
I was 19, or I think 18 or 19 years old, so I was.
What a throw!
But I was kind of a big deal. So I actually didn't want to go down the stupid piss-taking path quite as readily as Nick did. He sort of saw it before I did. And, I was actually writing a column in the Tasmanian Fishing and Boating News, monthly column, called Harty's Hints, or Hart's Hints.
I'll bring that back.
Imagine that. What an imaginative name.
I came to this with quite a reputation and quite a bit of experience. So obviously I wanted to pass that on to fellow fishermen.
It all went pear-shaped, Drew. When we did the Cindy Marie, the first episode, I don't know whether Luke or Adam, you're familiar with the Cindy Marie, but it was our foray into radio-controlled boat fishing. And Andrew was visibly upset at the prospect of this because it was too stupid, and all his proper fishing mates would think him a fool. But as it turned out, he got into the spirit of it, and the rest was history.
He certainly did.
It's the latest development in fishing. Yes. It's radio. It's controlled by this radio control.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to catch a fish on the radio controlled boat.
So that's the brand damage happening right there, Hardy? Is that what you were a bit worried about?
Damage. That was like the lowest of the low points, and it really never recovered from there. But as soon as I sort of swallowed my ego and thought to myself, you know what? Hart's hints, author. No one really cares about you. Swallow your ego and jump in the water and swim doggy paddle after the Cindy Marie whilst testing it and just taking the piss. The rest of the next 24 years or whatever is history.
It's amazing. I can't get it back from Hart's hints. I'm hoping that's the next foray for Hook, Line and Sinker. It's moved into blogs and it's Hart's hints from here on in.
Yeah, look, I can't go too much into it, but
coming to the local.
We wrote an article. Nick and I wrote articles for the Mercury newspaper as well. Do you remember that, Dogs?
I do.
And it was a groundbreaking kind of format where it was like a conversation. So Nick would say something, I would say something, and we'd write it in words. Wow. And it was published every Saturday or Sunday in the local
for a fairly short period of time. Before they said, probably not, boys. Off you go. We also wrote a book in the early days.
Yes, we did.
It's one of the very few books. Yeah, Hook, Line and Sinker, Fool's Paradise. We've got copies if you're interested.
I am very interested.
I'd be super keen.
And signed, thank you very much.
One of the few books that takes longer to read than it did to write.
It's got a typo on the second word. The second word of the first page, it's like there's a typo. That's
the best. That is so good. Why did this not hit bookshops in all around the country? Or did it?
Tell us why it didn't take off. I don't know.
Where was it for sale? Did it sell? It for sale?
It was in limited release.
Where did book launches? Where did book club launches? We did signings, and we were sitting out on the street outside Fuller's bookshop, and no one had really. Everyone was just walking past.
What season of Hook, Line and Sinker would this have been?
This would be when the show was at its highest point, maybe like 2002, 2003, something like that.
No, it was pretty early doors. It was a way to expand out into new media forms and
before our time.
Before our time. Can I get that in audio book these days? Is that a possibility?
Work on that.
No, but
we'd have to send you a tape.
Put it on tape.
You guys will be looking for something soon, and you'll probably say, "Hey, ads, why don't we write a book?" Good idea, Luke.
Yeah.
Do you think
not? It's not a good idea.
I heard it somewhere.
Terrible idea.
The attitude of understanding your audience is a huge thing in the media space. From the obvious new age media, which is very much on demand, YouTube, the social channels. Understanding your audience is huge. And Adam, you and I talk about it all the time with various things that we see on platforms. And I think if you were to ever use a case study of someone that understands their audiences and leans into it, it's you guys. What point, you've sort of touched on it already, how early did you sort of go, you know what, this is the direction we need to go to actually continue, and this is actually getting traction, so let's lean into it?
I think that is to overcomplicate it to some extent. We had, I remember, early doors, maybe in season 2 or 3 or whatever, something like that. We made it into the top 10 on the ratings in Tasmania. So like in the top 10 shows for the week was Hook, Line and Sinker on a Saturday afternoon, and at that time we felt that we genuinely, I think, had something to offer, that the show was a goer, but we never did anything sophisticated in terms of tailoring what we did for our audience. I think all we really tried to do was amuse ourselves. And, if we were having a good time, then that tended to translate in the show.
No, I agree 100%. I think, we sort of got our little niche where we did funny things. I think the project boats was a massive thing for us. That was a niche that no one else was doing. But yeah, it was never a sit down at the start of a season and talk about how we're going to continue the silly ways of hook, line and sinker. It was just no rules, let's go have some fun. And it just sort of grew slowly each year too. It never really took off. It just grew enough to keep going really. So yeah, we never really over thought it as such. Maybe we should have. Yeah.
No, but there's probably something
key.
in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the project boats. Surely at some point during that process, because that was my introduction to hook, line and sinker, the project boats.
Yeah.
Surely at some point you got one of these boats and thought, what the hell are we doing here? Like, because anyone who's ever mucked around with a boat...
Have you seen some of Hardy's project boats?
Hey.
Creepers, creepers. Room for a pony. She was not a good ship. That was...
Well, there was one I specifically... I think it was you, Hardy, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
one of you almost lost an arm trying to get one of the motors dislodged. Yep. It was I think it was stuck down and you had to get it up. And there was screwdrivers and manpower trying to lift this bloody motor up so that it would stay up. Surely at some point during those project boats you thought, shit, we've bit off more we can chew here.
Yeah, like all of the time, but we knew that was the thing. So, as hard as it was for us, we knew that we were making good stuff. As bad and as terrible as they were, we thought that they would. So maybe we did know our audience. Maybe we did back then know that my boat cracking and nearly sinking or losing an arm or whatever was going to be good. Was going to be good viewing. And but to go back to the project boats, Beast 2 is still my favourite ever boat. I don't have it anymore, but had it for a long, long time.
Yeah. Do you ever hear of the whereabouts of some of these boats, Nick? I know because you're a very passionate boaty, Nick, and so you were capable. It's fair to say from the word go with the project boats. I'm not saying you weren't, Andrew, but
but he wasn't.
Close second, mate.
Really
Close second.
shitty old boats, and still I think has it.
Yeah.
No,
look, we have run across a few of our old boats from time to time. I sold one to a mate, and it's still going beautifully. The original Beast one, which is probably the one that most people ask about, as far as I know, is still up on the Gold Coast, and we interacted with that a few years after it had been sold, and, people were enjoying it. I think you probably see the Beast 2, Hardy.
So it lived on the East Coast where I lived at a boat club because it was too heavy to tow around, and I sold it to a bloke who kept it there. Who's used it a bit, but last time I saw photos of it, the wheels are off the trailer and it needs a bit of TLC, unfortunately. But the good thing about those old boats is you can give them that because there's they are old Bertrams. There's no timber in them, so the boat itself will still be sound. You can just sort the trailer out. The motors will be fine. Yeah, it was a bit sad. I saw the wheels hanging off the trailer.
It's not ideal.
It's a throwback to when you got it.
Yeah.
Well, it's igniting some interest in me. I'm thinking about maybe I'll make it.
Yeah, there you
go. Project boats. I remember also picking up on some of them in real time, and it certainly seemed to put the fire into it. Is it fair to say you almost picked up a bit of a new audience when you started launching into the boat stuff as well?
I reckon, if you think about how much the project boat scene, and, I'm not going to say that we ignited any of that, but if you think about how many people are doing project boats these days, and it's pretty big, and, I think we were fortunate in our timing that it just worked well for us, that we sort of stumbled into a bit of a new kind of like that YouTube-y genre on TV, and I think that was as you say, worked really well on the show, and we would stumble our way through it and, get an outcome, and there'd be things that would go well and things that wouldn't go well along the way. And it just had a way of making its own kind of narrative without us having to manipulate it too much, and so it's quite good.
I think you're being too modest. I think we did have a big thing about Project Basically, like a couple of years after Beast, there were heaps and heaps of cheap Caribbean 23s and 25s. Now
not so much now.
No.
But you would have heard that direct. Yeah, you would have heard that direct from people watching, I reckon, Hardy, reaching out.
It's funny, when people recognise you, it's more than, I would say, 70% of the time they talk about the project base more than the fishing.
Yeah.
When they first meet you. So it was a massive part of the show.
Yeah.
And getting things wrong and right, I think, is part of it too. There's probably, whether it's boats or it's houses or it's whatever, realistically 99% of what you might see on TV or YouTube or something is just people getting it right every time. Just making it look easy and not really having fun with it, just getting it done. And okay, cool, whatever. I think the reason you guys resonated so well with people, and in the fishing as well, to be honest, is that it was the whole journey. So it was clearly it clearly never goes smoothly. A fishing trip or building a boat, it's never 100% perfect. And I think if you show that, you're just showing your honesty and that you're real. And
one of the great things in that space that I remember and reflect on occasionally is when Andrew built his own wooden boat, a boat called Rough Cut. And anyway, he needed to seal it up, so it was good. Not a bad name, I'll give him that. And in fact, he was quite good with the names. But he had to paint some, flow coat on the seams to seal it all up. Anyway, so he painted all this flow coat on the seams, but hadn't added any hardener.
No.
So every time, for the entire life of that boat, over a month, every time you interacted with it, you got white stuff on your clothes.
Well,
because it just never went off.
I don't have a lot of clothes, and I still have jumpers with that sort of like Wilson fishing jumper that I still wear. And then it got on my car, and it didn't have hardener in it, but it stains like a.
Hey, getting things. Speaking of getting things wrong with boats, I just want to play this.
They build them tough at Bar Crusher.
Probably one of the most famous clips that went around the internet for a long time, that one. Talk us through it. Over to you guys. Because surely someone got blamed.
Well, Andrew clearly didn't get blamed, but was to blame.
Are those the Parliament bells ringing in the background, dogs?
Yes, they are. They're the Parliament bells. I'm choosing to ignore them.
What is when the red bell's going off? That means I've got to go. But
I'm figuring not just now. I'm enjoying myself.
Will it matter if you don't vote?
Well, to the people of Tasmania, no, I'll do my job.
We're going to get in trouble. Here's a deep drop.
No.
I'm just trying to distract everyone from talking about the boat being dropped on the ground.
Yes.
I don't think there's any. No, well, I mean, unfortunately, I was the one launching the boat, so it was my fault. I initiated Bar Catch TM, which is a thing. Well, yes, to a point, and then reversed the car, and something happened. And the boat fell off the back of the car. I mean, I'd done the same thing. I don't know how many times, but hundreds of times with various different bar crashes. I mean, it's lucky it didn't happen in the past, to be honest. I remember one time we drove from the boat ramp back into town just on bar catch because we got talking to people. I mean, the fact it hadn't have happened in the past. But again, lessons learnt. Now when I launched the big bar crusher, I put the safety chain on and take the safety chain off when the boat's open.
But I think one of the great things that it demonstrated to us, and probably somebody that we should give a shout out to, is our great mate and cameraman Mike Nesham, who was with us through many, many years, and just be rolling basically was a kind of a central tenet of Hook, Line and Sinker. Because you just want to catch those candid moments. And if the cameras are not rolling, then they sort of pass and you don't get them. And Nessie was awesome at just roll, whatever it was, something banal, turns into something funny. And on that occasion, it wasn't Nessie, I don't think, who was the cameraman. It was another bloke, glove box, and we used to have to prod him a little bit to get the camera out. Go, what are you just launching the boat. Don't worry about it, just launching the boat. Get the shot, always be rolling. And fortunately, or unfortunately at the time, we didn't really know, but he was rolling, and that was good.
Hey, just on Mike for a second, because I've had the privilege to know Mike and do a trip actually to New Zealand with both of you guys and Mike, and also get to know more recent times Sally as well. How important is that person in control of the camera and the sound and the post-production and stuff? Because I think it's fair to say that they don't get the spotlight or the limelight, but I would imagine for a production that's been around or that's done 25 years, that there's no shortcuts. You can't muck around too much, and those people are pretty bloody crucial to making a good show.
No, well, they're vital. And Nessie, in our final ever episode, we had him on, and his point was we've been able to make this show for 25 years with three of us, and that's pretty crazy. We've never had a soundo. We've produced ourselves. So, we haven't had producers and researchers and all this sort of stuff. So, it's the only way Hook, Line and Sinker's really survived. And those guys are, without them, we're nothing. And Nessie was a massive part of the family for many, many years. And Sally Wilson's fitted in nicely recently. What are you doing, Dogs?
Yeah, what's happening here?
I'm about to make a speech.
Are you really?
Really?
Yep.
Can we capture it? Can we stay on?
No, I don't think you can.
Stay on.
Stay on.
It's about the stadium in Tasmania.
Yeah, can you just
very,
give us
very
a
important
rundown on what's happening?
I can edit it. It won't make the show.
The other
It won't
thing I
make the
would
show,
say
guys.
about Nessie was he was kind of the glue, and Sally also as well. But Nessie would travel in most of my time on the show, and so whenever Andrew and I would, be, because you spend a lot of time with each other, a lot of time together, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes you're a bit fed up or whatever. Nessie was pretty flawless, in just keeping us all together. He was a bit volatile, so if one of us was having a good day or a bad day, Nessie would sort of be the spring between us, and that was very, very helpful as well.
Well, we all learnt our strengths and our weaknesses. I'm not sure what mine are, but like his was red wine at dinner of a night, and brilliant, and he would bring us together. We knew not to really talk to Nessie the next morning until sort of 10 or 11 to the end drink. And then he was back, and he's always back. No, he's an absolute bloody legend, and love him to bits.
Yeah. Boys, I'm going to have to go.
Where are you going? Stay rolling.
I've got to go.
If we stay quiet, can we just stay
But
on
I
the
can
line?
come back, but it might be half an hour.
Yeah.
We might be done.
What if it's 5 hours? What if the Greens talk about the stadium again?
Anyway.
Are you posing a roof? You need
It's
a
very
roof.
important. It's part of the deal.
You need a roof.
Yeah, part of the deal.
Roof.
I know.
Yeah.
What about the fact you put in your speech that we're the second driest capital?
Second driest capital in the nation, you blokes. Don't need a roof.
Yeah, we are.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Righto.
You need a roof. Make it happen,
Thanks,
Dog.
Luke. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you,
You're a
Nick.
legend, Dykes.
Good to
luck,
see you, mate.
Good work, guys.
See you,
Good
mate.
on you,
See you,
Minister.
Drew.
Bye.
We should continue. Are you okay to continue, Hardy?
Yeah, I guess so. He's left me again. Just walked away and left me again. I'm used to it. I'm used to the feeling. It's
Well, this is what you get when you're a politician. You just come and go and swing in like the breeze. Let's address the was there any rumours going around that you guys were fighting and it was a big bust up and Nick's gone?
I don't know. I don't reckon. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I've put my head in the sand the last couple of years, to be honest, and just sort of done my job. But we certainly haven't been fighting. It's been fine. I was more than supportive when Dogs decided to run for politics.
Yeah.
And look, it's all worked out beautifully. in the end. I guess I found it the most difficult at the beginning of filming whatever that season was. And Diggs he actually flew to Melbourne with me to start filming like day one, season whatever, 22. And that was the day that they announced that he'd won the seat.
Right.
So that was it. He was gone. And then it was like, oh, shit, I'm over here in Melbourne, got to film some bar crusher stuff. Got to do hour-long shows. It's Sally and me. Here we go. And I did struggle for the first half, or probably for that season, just filling the time. Because as we touched on, like, we could have some banter that would be about nothing at all, but then it grows into 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or even longer. Then all of a sudden, without that, I was like, I'd always had a guest or a fishing guru, but they don't know the chemistry. They don't know the tells or I'm trying to get them to say something. They don't know that.
Yeah.
Whereas with Diggs, it was just a natural thing. So
that's
what I found the most difficult. And then I put too much pressure on myself to catch fish.
Yeah.
But then I got pissed with Nessie in some town up in Crowdy Head. We'd had a bad day, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't know how to do this. Got on the piss and just said, right, let's forget all that. Let's just do it like we've always done it. And ever since that day, that was probably halfway through that series, it's been fine. So it was just overthinking it.
Yeah, but rightly so. 22 seasons with a with a partner in crime going, and all of a sudden them not being there, and I'm not trying to make you feel awkward. You're extremely talented in front of the camera, but when you've got someone that you bounce off for 22 years in a row, or whatever it was, seasons in a row, and then all of a sudden you don't, I think it's absolutely justifiable that you feel a bit.
Oh, it's a completely different skill set.
Bracken, that's all right.
It's a completely different skill set. When you can bounce off someone, then all of a sudden it's just you and a camera. That's one of the most daunting things you'll ever do. There was always going to be adjustment there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was, and then I because there was comments on social media and stuff about how I was a bit of a spud and whatever, and Nick's the best and blah blah blah. So I got off that, and I was like, well, what am I doing? But I'm actually really proud of myself because I reckon the last couple of seasons have been really good, and sort of pulled it back and done some of the best shows we've ever done. So
it's brilliant.
Sort of pulled myself out.
Especially that episode in the last season. There's a couple of guys on it. It was a great episode. I think they were from a podcast.
That was the Mardi Gras special.
Yes. I've spoken to Adam over the years, and I remember spending some time with you and Nick over the years, Andrew. And I've said to Adam during that journey, I remember I've never seen anyone or a couple of people with chemistry in front of a camera or a microphone, as we were doing some radio and podcast stuff back then, like you guys. It was fascinating to watch, and genuinely, like, I'm not pissing in a pocket. I remember sitting in the Triple M studios in Melbourne, or in Tassie it might have been, and Melbourne, Hardy. But when the cameras roll, it's frightening to think that we've had no prep there's no script or anything, but you guys literally know exactly what each other are about to say, or cues of when to jump in. It's unbelievable, and it's something that clearly you're both natural at. You were doing some TV stuff back in the day, but over the years, it's an art form, right? It's an incredible skill that in the modern day media landscape, it's very, very rare. If I'm being honest.
Look, I think so. I don't know how it ever came to that, or I guess it just evolved. And I guess as I think Diggs touched on it before, so long as we're having fun, the show's going to be good. So we had fun for like the majority of it. Look, it was fun, and what we were doing was fun. And when we took the pressure off, and no rules, and just go and shoot what you can shoot, it was a hell of a lot of fun, and that sort of resonates. But I know what you're saying about the chemistry. Like, it just that when I lost that, it was like, I don't really. It's okay, but I was struggling to fill the show, so I was like, what am I going to fill this with? Like, we're 2 days here. We're 2 days in, and I've got 2 segments instead of being 2 days in with, 2 shows. So that was the hard part to adjust to. But
did you have many episodes or many, I suppose, filming trips that just never made it to air? Like, did you?
A few, but not. I mean, Not heaps. Like, we'd always make something of it.
Yeah.
But there is only so many times you can make something of no fish. Like, you can dress up, or you can pull a piss, or you can do whatever. But at some point in time, you've got to catch a fish.
Yeah.
So the biggest lesson, if anyone wants to make a fishing show, if indeed fishing shows exist, in the next 10 years, don't say you're going to catch something and because you're setting yourself up for failure. They say, I'm visiting an area, and then it doesn't matter what happens. But if you say, I'm going to catch a me to Murray cod, from the word go, you set yourself up for a fail. So there's been a few cod shows that probably never made it, and a few weather shows that never made it, but generally you'd try and scrape together something. I guess when we were going well, if it was shit, you wouldn't really put it on. You didn't have to. When you were scraping the barrel, you'd just try and come up with whatever you can come up with and put it on. But it's fishing at the end of the day. You never know what you're going to get either. So sometimes when you plan trips down to the bloody letter, you'd have moon phases right and tides right, and you'd booked it 6 months in advance. They were the ones you didn't catch a fish, and then other trips where you just go, oh, you know what, let's just go this afternoon and shoot something, and you end up catching something that you never forget. So it's still fishing.
It's a good point, because speak to anyone that's ever tried to film anything fishing, and this is the question I've got for you. Unfortunately, the game we play in is not guaranteed ever. When you're trying to produce television and quality television, which you were able to do for 25 years, what sort of pressure comes along with relying on a fish that you absolutely cannot control?
Yeah, a lot. We had a saying, there's a lot of difference between 0 and 1. 1 and 0. 1, you got something to work with, 0, you can't just scrape the bottom of the barrel again and just take the piss. But also, I think this is fishing in general, making a show or not. When you take that pressure off yourself, you catch more fish. I got no doubt about that. I think if you just go, righto, take a breath, and enjoy it for what it is, that's when you're going to catch a fish. I don't know what it is, but it's happened more often than not. Once you admit failure, or once you just go, I'm just here to have fun, the fishing improves, in my opinion, anyway.
And was that an actual moment? Like, were you guys under the pump heavily, and just it was almost a conscious thing to say, hey guys, let's just chill? There's not much we can.
I mean, back in the day with Nessie and Dykes, not really, because we were on the road so much that it didn't really matter so much.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a conscious moment with me when I was doing it on my own.
Sure.
And it was at Crowdy Head, and we'd gone out that morning to catch snapper. We didn't catch one. Then we fished that afternoon to catch big flathead, and I think I dropped a couple. And I just remember being really angry and pissed off because, like, one of those fish would have made something. So we ended up with nothing for the day. And I was like, I can't really do this anymore. But yeah, it was old Nessie. We just had dinner and a bunch of booze, and then righto, let's just go back to what we do, and it's been fine ever since. It's just not caring. You can't care. If you care, it's like a watch pot never boils. You've got to put all the time in and use the right gear and give yourself the best chance. But at the end of the day, they're fish, and you can't make them bite. And once you accept that, from a filming point of view, I think everything, the pressure gets lifted, and you start to catch more.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a pressure cooker that not many people understand or see, and we certainly don't. But Jesus, the pressure would be on if we tried to start a TV show ads. But
that's why Project Boats was so good, because they didn't swim around. Like, it was like, let's spend a year pulling apart this boat and then putting it back together. It's a piece of piss. And then we filmed a forestry show. That was easy because trees just stand there and you cut them down. It's like, Doing a fishing show, seriously, it's really hard.
We only need one tree.
There's 30,000 easy, and I think now too people forget, because you watch the Instagram kiddies and the influencers and stuff like that, but you don't see their failures, and they're mostly doing it on a local level. So what we were doing was going around Australia, big costs, and you'd only have a day or two in a spot, so you sort of get what you get. Whereas if you're an influencer living in Airlie Beach, for example, you just go on the nice days and you
catch
fish. It's easy, But so there was pressure, but once you just learnt to put it aside, maybe that's just how we dealt with it. Put it aside, and, also give yourself the best chance by going with good people. That would help. Then you put the pressure on them.
Yeah. It's a tactic. It's a solid tactic.
Yeah.
It's like, no pressure on us,
pass
mate.
the buck.
You promised us this, even though you know it's going to fail, because as soon as you take a camera on the boat, it becomes 20 times harder.
It's an interesting mental state, I reckon, in a lot of what you see, and I think social media's probably provided a fair chunk of this. But one thing we talk about, and certainly don't want to put the focus on the deep drop, but one of the things we talk about often is trying to celebrate just having a crack, regardless of result. And I think there's so much to be enjoyed by going, I'm going to try and use a blue squid jig, Hardy, knowing that it's failed me in the past, but hey, let's have a go. And almost understanding that the result isn't necessarily the fish. It's having a bit of a crack and having some fun with it. And I think it's lacking at the moment. And, I love what you guys have done through the whole journey. And it's kind of, to be honest, and there's no surprise, I've spoken about you and you've been on this show a lot, but I take a lot of inspiration from that. And I hope that that message can keep coming through what we're doing through our channels and what you continue to do as well, because it's just, mate, it's a hobby, it's a pastime. And for punters,
it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
It's just supposed to be fun.
And that's what. And I remember, we stumbled upon that saying and that sort of mentality years ago. I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And like fishing, because everyone's like, "Oh, you guys make it look so much fun. It's just like banter. It's just like a whale fishing." It's like, well, fishing's meant to be fun. So that's what we filmed.
And some of my fondest memories of fishing involve not catching a fish.
Correct. Yep.
Now that's hard. That's hard to portray when you're trying to film a TV show about catching fish, but it is important. And I think you said it before, Luke, and you and I have way too many conversations about this. Fishing is fun. It is supposed to be fun. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we all want to catch fish, and that's what we strive for. That's why we do it. It's why it's a hobby. It's why we're something we're passionate about. But it's not the case. So it has to be fun, because if it wasn't fun, who would do it?
Yeah. When we and again, and we greatly appreciate the time that you took out with Adam and myself filming an episode of Hook, Line and Sinker. But it's
best
funny to think,
ever, by the way,
when your thoughts,
because Lee Rayner was in it.
Oh
yeah, right. All the pressure was on Lee Rayner.
But this is one example of that sort of mentality. When I think about that day, a couple of the key memories for me was just pissing ourselves, laughing the whole time on a boat, was catching a hideously big cuttlefish, and was watching Lee's boat get covered in ink. It wasn't even about the squid that we caught on the day. It was just some of the moments, and I just think it gets forgotten. And like I said, I can't help but think that the glorification of the social media sort of thing has hurt it a bit. So yeah, I don't want to.
But we planned a fishing show episode based around using a heap of stuff that we've never caught fish on.
Yeah,
they were we picked the worst in our experiences in the past, the worst things you could use to catch fish, and we got lucky. But the premise, if you're filming television, was horrible.
What were you thinking, Hardy?
Lee
got lucky because he took us to the right spot.
We're fine.
I think if fishing shows are lost, I think, because I'm going through a whole thing at the moment where we're going to put old shows on YouTube and revamp social media and whatever else. I'm going to get someone to do it for me because it's all passed me by. But they're like, it's got to be 10 seconds. It's got to be 15 seconds. It's just bite-sized chunks. The thing we're able to do on the fishing show, the thing that you guys are able to do on the deep drop is actually longer format and have a discussion and communicate. And I think that's what's going to be lost. I think that's, when you watch it on social media now, fishing, it's just like 3 shots, bang, bang, bang. Hook up, GT's popper, there's a GT. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you scroll to the next thing. Whereas when we're able to make a show or when you're having a chat about things, we're actually able to go into detail and capture those good moments and have have gears, have first gear, second gear, third gear, and get it exciting, and then come back and So I think there's still art to making TV. I fear it's going to be lost, but look, I think I just think the current landscape with the social media and how everyone lives their lives through just getting a big fish and putting it up as quickly as they can. Like they don't even wait. They don't wait till the thing's in the boat.
Yeah.
Do you think though we've hit a saturation point where we've seen that? Like we know what to expect from that. Okay, we see a fish. It's to the point now where, like everything else on social media, you scroll past it and forget about it. Whereas I think there's going to be a time, and it's going to happen on YouTube. Don't for a second think that it's going to happen on, say, commercial television anymore, where you're controlled by a time slot and ad breaks and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if it's a nostalgic thing. I don't know if it's just what I prefer to watch, but I can see a point where there will be something social media based, YouTube, or there's something that's made specifically for streaming, which is a whole completely different beast. I agree with you 100%, Hardy. The storytelling, the arc, because the problem with the 10-second clip on social media, you don't get the enjoyment. No. You see a little bit of a woohoo moment where everyone high fives and holds up a fish, but again, it's fleeting like everything else.
And that's a shame because it's probably taken old mate 4 days to film that hookup on his paddleboard with a GT. And there could have been some amazing stuff happening in that 4 days, but it's all condensed into 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Whereas hook, line and sinker, we'd be filming the camping, the fuck-ups,
because it's real. That's the relatable.
Real.
That's the relatable 100%. Stuff. Though.
But no one's got time anymore to watch that. It would seem, but until you maybe put it in their face in a different way, and that's what you're getting at. Maybe there's.
I definitely think there's.
I think you're right. I think we're waiting for the next thing, whatever the next thing is.
Yeah. I think it's just the way our brains are trained now. It's on demand. It's quick. It's fast. It's give it to me now. I just, I'm still hopeful it comes full circle though, because there is so much in what we're just talking about, the story, the journey, to be consumed and enjoyed. But
it's kind of wild because all the little 10-second clips you see on social media are essentially ads. They're the things back before any of this social media stuff. We'd be watching TV that'd give us a shit, and we just want to get back to the program. We just haven't got back to the program yet. We're happy to watch all the ads, and there'll be something there at some point that you'll get lured in by those ads, and you'll get the retention. You'll get someone that'll sit down and watch something on YouTube for 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, because I still think the space around fishing is very romantic. It's more than just catching a fish. And that's very cliche to say, but it's what's made fishing as big as what it is right now. The fact that we've seen programs like yours, Hardy, that bring that element of the storytelling, the experience, the fishing's exciting. Catching a fish is exciting, but forgetting to put the bung in or relying on a boat catch and the boat goes for 6 halfway down the boat ramp, running out of fuel, locking yourself out of accommodation rooms. We've all done it. We all remember the stories, and they're almost more enjoyable than a hot snapper bite in Port Phillip Bay where we caught 45 snapper.
You cramping up trying to get out of your swag for a piss ads and ended up pissing all over yourself. Great moments when you're away on a fishing trip.
Perfect. So I find that funny. But look, I don't know. We sound like old dinosaurs.
I know we do.
I know we do, but I don't think it's over. I refuse to believe it's over.
No, I don't think it's over. I think brand-funded TV fishing shows are probably close to dead.
That's a struggle. Yep.
Like, how the hell would you get one up now, or why you'd even bother? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
in that format, in that brand-funded free-to-air format.
Yeah.
You're better off just doing it on YouTube on your own.
Yeah. Hey, Hardy, I want to just get your thoughts on this little clip that I've got. And I don't want to sound too serious, but for someone like yourself, I imagine this is a pretty powerful sort of a moment. So let me just throw to this.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, the final ever hook, line and sinker.
How does that feel, listening to that or saying that?
Good now, great. Saying it, didn't know. I didn't even know I was going to wind up fishing that day. I thought, oh, well, what are we doing? We're making the final show. So I just sort of said it. Again, like the whole thing's been not scripted. So I never wrote a script saying, let's hook a marlin and that can be the final ever fish or catch and hook, line, sinker. It just sort of panned out that way. Look, it was a good fun trip with the boys. We didn't even take a cameraman. So a couple of the lads on the boat were filming, and there were a few GoPros and whatever else. That's sort of how much I was putting into the last ever episode. Sally was like,
the energy was.
Just please get good audio and take a few cutaways because I don't know how I'm going to cut this. Because she doesn't like marlin fishing because she gets seasick. It's like, I'm going, Sal.
I think for something that, as an intro, welcome to Hook, Line and Sinker, for 25 odd years, saying that and then wrapping up with for the last time ever. It's kind of a powerful sort of a moment. Like it must
kind of is now that you put it that way, but there wasn't a lot of thought to
it. You were probably 7 beers in.
I still think it was an incredible. I watched a piece of TV where a guy sat back in the harness on the rod and dropped his hands and just had a spew. Couldn't give two shits about the marlin that was going on, and somehow that marlin stayed connected, and it is the epitome of why fishing is so beautiful.
We were nearly sinking the boat at the same time, so that was a rib, and I don't know what's going on, but the seal's like in the cockpit. He's backing into the bloody and the waves coming over the back, and the water's going down, and then all next minute there's all things floating out. You open the bottom of the boat, look down, it's full of water. It's like, then I made spews. It's like, this is why we do hook, line and sinker. This is great.
This is it, yeah.
It's the best.
But summarize hook, line and sinker in one episode. Bang,
just watch that one.
100%. And that's sort of, on a hot marlin bite at Boomagoo, when people probably feel like they should go and they should catch 10 and show us how good they are. I'd much rather that.
Just enjoy the shit out of it.
100%.
That was insane.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Agree more. It's a good way to go out, isn't it? When you think about it.
You couldn't script it, though. You couldn't
There was a moment when I was like going, this boat might actually go over here. So much water in it. And I was like, then that'd be interesting if we're all in the water, wouldn't it?
Not ideal. It certainly would be the last episode, that's for sure.
Yeah, particularly because in Tasmania, I'm the boating safety ambassador, so it would have been embarrassing. But
Are you? Are you on buses? Are you on the side of buses?
I have been. We're also on a one of those trailers that they tow around, like a big billboard trailer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they towed that up the East Coast once, and my mate stopped and drew a cock and balls in my mouth. Which I didn't find funny at all. There's me standing there with a thumbs up with a life jacket on. Cock and balls.
Brilliant.
Well played. For, really.
Very well played.
Yeah. So no, she's fun. She's all fun.
It's good. It's good. Hey, I wonder whether we could throw to I wanted to throw to a bit of a segment that Adam and I do regularly on our show, which is called the Top 6. Would you enlighten us and give us a few top 6 moments from your hook, line and sinker journey, Hardy?
Yeah, I've got 6 of them because I actually spoke to Doug, so I can just do them all.
You can reel them off.
Yeah.
Well, should we do the music ads?
Yeah, cue the music.
Let's do the music. All right.
The deep drop.
Top 6. statement. That's
right
how
there.
professional we are now, Hardy. We've got little
Pretty good,
jingles
isn't it?
for segments and everything.
What do you call that? A jingle?
Well, is that what we're saying? It's a jingle, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Go with that.
It's a bit. Yeah, it's.
Is it an off-the-shelf jingle?
That was a listener provided that. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
actually awesome. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
it is, isn't it? So anyway, all right. Well, over to you, and I'm just going to let you kick off, and whether it's in a particular order or not. Top
It's
6
not.
moments.
It's not in an order.
No, that's fine.
Number one, being a Rolls-Royce owner. We fished, we went to the UK, and we bought a 1980 Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit to drive us around in the UK while we went on a fishing trip and caught an eel and not much.
But you know what? You did it in style, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Bloody oath we did, but the air conditioning didn't work, and it was quite hot, and like you literally cooked in it because it had like a V10 or something, and it as it rolled up the highway, it was very, very hot. But it had the original champagne bucket, so whoever was in the back was just sipping champagne with icy cold. It was a very fun day. In fact, the highlight of that was we went salmon fishing in Scotland. Didn't catch one because we were there a bit early, but we were driving this roller through the paddocks around salmon streams. It's like, this is cool.
It's a blasphemy for car owners.
This is cool.
That's
Actually,
brilliant.
looked at bringing it back out here, but didn't, and then sold it to a bloke in Oslo for €2,000 more than we paid for it.
So it's win-win-win.
It was a win-win-win.
Wow.
Number two, again in the car space, hiring a wicked van in New Zealand.
I remember this van.
Yes, you do. I think. Did you see the wicked van? Were you in it?
I was there when you picked it up, and I think did you have to
What did
put
it have
gaffer tape
written on the
across
back?
some of it?
What did it have written on the back? Like, can you remember?
I do. You remember it too, don't you? You say it.
No, I'm not going to. I wouldn't even say it on this podcast. We had to tape up certain words because it was so disgusting.
Well, this wasn't. This is. We're not recording.
Well, I'm intrigued. Was there a rogue C bomb written on the back of the?
It was
van?
that. It was.
That's
what it was, wasn't it?
Oh, it's so good.
Ladies were crying and like hysterically crying, not funny, like crying. Like it was offensive. And
This is on a car that they were driving through the streets of Auckland.
While we were there, we did a whole tour. While we were there, it made front page news. Not us, but the Wicked camper vans, because they were so disgusting.
Yeah.
And we actually got interviewed by a journalist because we had a Wicked camper van with tape over the back of the words.
Because I remember I flew back out to Melbourne that day, and I remember getting home and seeing it on the news, and I thought, oh, fucking hell, what have they done?
Oh, I mean, to be fair, I'm with the people who tried to shut them down because it was disgusting. And
it was a bit much.
We threw like 3 cans of Mortein, the bug bombs in the thing before we even hopped in it. Oh, got it bogged, fell down a big hole in it. That was good. So we went from a Rolls Royce to a Wicked van.
Yeah.
Number 3, collecting croc eggs in the Northern Territory. That is a memory that will live on forever. Again, pretty sketchy, pretty loose. Not a lot of occupational health and safety there. The day before we went fishing, heli fishing, where we'd land and scare the crocodile off, then land where the crocodile was, then wade through, knee-deep water to the nearest sort of run-off channel where we'd catch 30 or 40 barra, hop back in the chopper and do it all again. Then the next day we got slung into crocodile-infested swamp land, full of cutting grass and all sorts of bad things. And we collected eggs. The funny thing there for me was that I got told that to wear, because it was stifling hot, I got told to wear jeans and a long sleeve shirt and boots and tape up my socks to my jeans. I didn't tell the boys that. So Nesham was there in thongs and board shorts, and Duigan was there in thongs and his, I think he might have worn boots, but shorts and his fishing shirt. So...
So the cutting grass went to town.
Yeah.
So look, that was a massive highlight up there. I'm not sure we'll ever do that again. I'm not sure I would ever do that again, to be honest. But looking back, it was one of those moments that was very, very cool at the time.
Far out. I don't even know where to start with that.
Oh, well, probably nowhere at the moment. But it was still cool. Still really cool. Super cool. What was that? Number 4?
That was 3. Up to 4.
Number 4, again, so we were never very good campers and we were never very well prepared. And we decided that we would go to Cape York and we'd get a car from Cairns and we'd drive up to Cape York somewhere and try and fish Princess Charlotte Bay. So we drove, and we figured like there'll be heaps of grey nomads and stuff up there. Like it's pretty well, like every man and his dog does it. Well, the spot we picked on the map was quite remote, and we sort of turned up there and we're like, God, this is pretty bad. And we took like a packet of sausages and a swag each and a boat, and we were well out of our depths until we went round the corner in the boat and found a massive camp set up, and then there was a bunch of prison guards from Maruba, which is sort of up on the sort of between Cairns and Cooktown, and these prison guards took us in as their own for the next 3 or 4 days and fed us and stroked our egos.
Wow!
Told us things were going to be okay, and we didn't get eaten by crocs, which we probably would have done if we were by ourselves. And we ended up catching plenty of fish. So that was a memory that sticks with me very, very fondly. Again, not planned. But thank God the prison guards were there. The next one was we tried to do a marlin fishing. What do we call it? It was a marlin fishing road trip. We wanted to catch a blue, a black, a striped, and a swordfish out of the bar crusher, out of our one boat, which we achieved. But probably from a fishing point of view, one of the best days was when Duigan and myself, by ourselves, because Nessie had flown away to do something, took ourselves out off Southwest Rocks where there was a small weather window, not knowing what we were doing, and we ended up hooking 3 blue marlin, 2 of them at once, and catching 2 of them at once. So that ticked off the blue marlin thing. So that brings me back to sort of, you just don't know. Like, that was not expected. That was a total fluke. But because it's fishing, sometimes you get those flukes.
Absolutely.
And then the 6th thing, again, marlin related, fishing related, was on the Great Barrier Reef with a mate of ours called Ash, who had a charter boat up there for a while. We, again, actually without Nesham, there's a theme here, we filmed this ourselves, and we had a great few days. Like, everything up there I really, really love. And the last fish we caught, that trip was a giant. And that fish jumping out of the water still sort of sits in my memory forever. And has sort of lit a fire in me, which I haven't let go, and I've been up there plenty since, and I've actually got some projects happening up there in the not too distant. So that fish was a bit of a turning point, I guess.
Bit of a game changer.
Bit of a game changer, yeah.
I mean, we do a top 6, and thank you for that, Hardy. But realistically, let's be honest, there could be a top 60 or a top 600. Yeah. I'm sure the memories are endless.
Yeah, there are a couple of shit ones there, actually. There'd be better ones. Got to try to come up with them before. I mean, the blue marlin, that was rubbish. The big marlin was rubbish. We could do better, but anyway, it's been quite a journey.
No. Incredible. It's been a journey, absolutely no doubt for you guys that well, I think you should be very, very proud of what you guys have accomplished, and yourself, Hardy, in the last couple of years, sort of flying solo, I think is a pretty incredible feat too. So I think on behalf of everyone out there who's, half interested in fishing and half interested in boats, that's consumed anything of hook, line and sinker, I say a big thank you and share my appreciation on behalf of the fishing public, because hook, line and sinker has been something that everyone has been able to enjoy, in whether it's an episode here or there, or a devotee of watching every single episode. Mate, it's been brilliant, and I can't wait to see what is on the horizon for you. I dare say you've got something under your hat, Hardy. You got projects left, right, and centre. I would imagine.
There's a few projects, some production sort of work, but what I'd like to do is actually I want to keep the brand alive. So we are going to start putting some stuff on the socials and the YouTube, and we're even going to open a TikTok account, whatever that is.
Look out!
Look out! But I think by doing that, once I get my mojo back, my fishing mojo, I'll be able to just go, let's just go and make couple of things, which will be good because I do love it. Absolutely love it. Love fishing. Love making the show. Just need a bit of a reset. And then, in the meantime, got a few other things happening in the pipeline, which is all good, which hopefully will keep us all happy and.
And please, when this stuff starts hitting the airwaves, mate, make sure you reach out because we'd love to have you on the show to talk about it.
You guys rock, and congratulations to you on your show. 100 and how many episodes?
128 this is, mate. It's hardly 25 years and 300 odd episodes, but we're getting there.
Oh, bloody oath you are. We've got the 150 coming up next, and then, it's like a bloody game of footy. You'll get to 200 and then you get to 300. You'll get there. No, you're doing well. And thank you so much for having us tonight. Apologies for Dogs, who once again left. You should do one just with him, actually. That'd be quite good.
No, it's been awesome, mate. And we've been talking about this for a while, and we're very, we're rapt to have you on again. And, like I said, congratulations on everything that you've achieved with Hook, Line and Sinker. And, Let's have a chat again soon.
Look forward to it, boys. Love it.
Good on you, Hardy. And well done, mate. Unbelievable. For those that haven't seen the last episode, please do yourself a favour and jump over to 7+. It was fishing entertainment at its best. there's some, not just the marlin fishing, but a few of the flashbacks to old seasons. Please go over and watch it, and then stay tuned to socials, because Hardy, I think it would be a brilliant thing if you started uploading some previous Hook, Line and Sinker content, keeping the brand alive. And I urge everybody to keep an eye on socials and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff, because shows like this don't come around often, and I think it's crucial that we support and watch them for as long as we can. So, Hardy, we look forward to seeing the content as it ends up on the internet over the coming months.
Thank you so much. And, love you guys, and can't wait to catch up again soon.
On you, mate. Cheers.